Hi and welcome to the 5-Minute Safety Series. My name is Michael Terry. I'm from Momentum Safety and Ergonomics, and today we're going to be covering hazard inspections. This is a how-to video today. We're going to be looking at more of the how-to of this particular part of risk management. This is a follow-up from a previous video we did on risk management, so feel free to click on the link if you need to check out that one out beforehand. Let's get straight on into it. We need to prepare adequately before we go and do any sort of hazard inspection. So things like making sure that the site is ready and prepared, and we're going to see what we need to see when we go there. We should notify people that we're coming into the area, just so that we're not going to be walking into anything hazardous when we do that. And just make sure we know who's going to be doing the inspection. Hopefully it might be us, but we might be doing it with someone like a health and safety rep or a manager in there as well. We need to make sure that we have considered plant and equipment on site, that we're going to see what we need to see, and that we don't obviously interrupt operations too much in our particular inspection. We need to make sure that we're prepared with adequate PPE and whatever other resources that you might need to run the inspection. And just make sure from your own personal point of view that you've got enough time and that you've got an open mind to seeing what you need to see. We've got to watch out for those hazard blinkers, that's for sure. We can get a bit blind to our own sight sometimes. So let's get straight back to the how-to. How we actually do this hazard inspection? Well, firstly we need to decide on what is the best checklist for us. And we do want to go through and have a look at a couple of these. You can consider both paper and electronic checklists. They can be the same, but some are going to have certain advantages over the others. Okay, so let's have a look at an actual inspection checklist here now. So I've got a Word version here of an inspection checklist. It's divided into 4 sections. The first section is on work environment. And you can just see I have various questions in various categories. I categorize the hazards into satisfactory, hazard, or not applicable. I've got some comment options. I can recommend controls. And then there's a few things to do with implementation, risk assessment, and hazard registers in there as well. The same process can be done using an electronic system such as an iPad. You can see here we've got a checklist as well. We can put in our different answers. This is a slightly different checklist, but they all have the same idea. Electronic systems do offer some advantages in that you can use the camera on the device to take photos and automatically record. So when you are ready to go for the walkthrough, I think it's a really great idea to have a heads-up approach in your very first pass. You don't want to be looking down at inspection checklists all the time. You're going to miss stuff. So I tend to have the inspection checklist down when I walk through for the very first time. Then I will get back, sit down, complete my checklist, find out what I missed, because I certainly will have missed looking at a few things, and then go back through and make sure you look at those areas well. In your second walkthrough, you might even pick up a few other things along the way. But I think it is important to have that initial heads-up approach and don't get too focused on what's in the checklist, because you might miss out on what's not in the checklist. Once we've finished, we need to make sure we report on this appropriately. So the checklist, be it paper or electronic, needs to go through the right person so that they can see what we found and what the recommended actions are coming out of that. An electronic system will help you a little bit more here, because that will help you automate that process, that's for sure. So let's have a look at the main takeaways from our session today. Firstly, we need to make sure that we have a suitable checklist for our workplace. It's got to have the right topics and it's got to be the right form, i.e. do you use a paper-based checklist, or are we ready to move to a more of an electronic integrated type system? We need to develop a schedule for making sure these things happen. Again, the electronic ones can be automatically scheduled and synced with calendars, so you need to make sure that you considered that as well. We need to make sure that the right person is assigned responsibility for completion of the checklist. When we're actually doing the checklist, we need to make sure we have a heads-up approach. We want to be looking out to see what we can see. and not missing stuff because we're too focused on what is on the checklist. And finally, we need to assign actions from our walkthrough and responsibilities for those actions so that they can get completed. So thanks for listening to the first of our how-to series. This is the 5-minute safety series from Momentum Safety and Ergonomics. As usual, we'll have links to appropriate links at the end of the session here, and I will link to versions of those checklists so you can download those, the ones that I used here today. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.